Finally here in the cupping lab at Marisabel and Moises' house. This is their new cupping lab. It was new last year and it's fantastic. So we'll be spending a couple of days here cupping coffees. What do you say? Hello?
Hello.
So they are the Cup of Excellence winners from last year. You can see the trophy up there. First place with their geisha. But they do have other coffees as well that are fantastic. So we'll be cupping a lot of coffees, I can see.
This is already roast.
Wow!
And this we need to roast with you this.
Fantastic. So,
2 days
two days of cupping Bonanza, and I'm looking forward to it. So it's my first full day here in Honduras. This is going to be a long trip, so I'm starting here in Marcala, which is south in Honduras, where the Caballeros are having their farms. And behind me is their cupping lab, their new cupping lab that they built last year, and some drying beds where they're currently drying some coffees. We're gonna cup coffees today, coffees that they are offering me. So they are probably having around 30 lots that they have been producing especially for me, according to our quality protocol. So that means washed and soaked in clean water and then dried in shade in the tables behind me for 10 to 12 days. And yeah, I'm really excited. There are hopefully some new varieties there, but mainly it's going to be the Catuai variety, which is the traditional one that they grow. Tomorrow we'll be doing a cupping of some new varieties that they have in their nursery, but they only have a few trees of each variety, so this will be just a selection of seeds for them to plant and produce in the future. So that's going to be very, very exciting, because neither myself or Moises have tasted them before. So we just arrived at the wet mill. What's the name of the wet mill? Shinakla. And this is Moises behind me. He's the owner and producer of the Caballero coffees. And this is the wet mill where they are washing, fermenting and also drying some of the coffees. But our coffees are dried at their house on raised beds. It started to rain just now, so you can see they're raking all the coffees together to cover it. I don't think they will be able to do it in time, but we'll see. So I'll show you around a little bit later. So behind me is a lot of coffee drying on the patio. It's slightly raining and they don't have actually time to cover it up in time, so the parchment will get a little bit wet, but normally it's quite dry here. But still, we don't use these patios to dry the coffees we buy. There's also some mechanical dryers here that we don't use. You can see the house with the smoke from the chimney in the back here. We don't like to dry our coffees this way because in our experience the shelf life is a little bit shorter when you do it like this, due to a little bit quicker drying times. And also we find the coffees not to be as clean as when we dry them on raised beds. So what Moises does is, after the coffee is processed here, he'll drive it down to his house in Marcala, where it's very dry and sunny, and the coffee is dried on raised beds on the shade, and I'll show you that a little bit later. So behind me here is the wet mill at Chinakla, which is Moises' mill. It's not operating right now because they haven't been harvesting today, but you can see it's very clean. You see the tanks behind me here, all with tiles and everything, and that's where they ferment the coffee. And the green machines in the back is where they depulp and clean the coffees from mucilage. So it's actually a mechanical demucilage remover, but they do ferment a little bit afterwards before the coffee is washed in these African washing channels and then dried on the raised beds. So this would be the washing channels that Moises is washing his coffee in. Also, it's similar to the ones you use in Kenya, so you're kind of grading and washing the coffee in these channels. So Moises, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, we just arrived in a place we call the greenhouse. And in this area is like our experimental center for us.
Yeah.
We planted different varieties here, and then the final purpose of this is to try to cup some coffees and to find very good coffees in quality terms. And tomorrow we will cup a little like 20 different varieties.
30, I think. We roasted 30,
yeah,
huh?
Yeah, but it's another. And then maybe we can find some good varieties to reproduce. And another way is to try to show the people it's possible to grow coffee in a greenhouse too.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. The trees are very big. How old are these trees?
And some have 3 years, another have 2 years.
Wow, they're quite big, huh?
Yeah, it's a little big. And then we can use with irrigation system too.
Yeah.
And it's good because you protect to the wind in some way. And the other is, and here you can find strange varieties.
Yeah.
Like the other day we found some like a Bourbon, orange Bourbon. And this is one of the coffee we want to cup tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we found some tree is like a crown, have some crown in the top.
Yeah, nice.
And maybe in the future we can try it.
Yeah.
Now it's only to show.
So these are all seeds you've been collecting when you're traveling around Honduras and stuff. And the idea is that you have a couple of these trees planted, and then if you find something tasting nice, we can plant them in your farms. And in 3 or 4 years, we'll have some production.
Yeah, this is the idea.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, if we have some caturra, but we can find some very nice coffee in quality term, maybe we can replace this coffee for the others.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Look at the difference on these varieties. Huge cherries on these ones. And then just next to it, totally different color. This looks more like an SL28, more pinkish, smaller. And the cherries taste very different. One is very sweet, the other one is very vegetal. Where are we now?
Now we are we call this farm the Pantanal 2.
Pantanal 2. And this is a fairly new farm, huh? The trees are quite small.
A new farm, is only like 3 years old. And it's a very new farm. Maybe this is one of the first picker.
Yeah.
Time.
And the variety is Catuai?
Catuai and a little bit of Pacas.
Yeah, nice.
But it's, mostly is Catuai.
Excellent. Very beautiful. So I'm here back in Marcala where Moises is drying the coffees that we are buying. You can see they're dried on raised beds, and actually they're dried in shade. Here he's experimenting with some kind of blue plastic to give shade to the coffee. And this is great for quality because their coffee is drying much slower and the temperature is not too high, so the parchment is not cracking. And this means the coffee will stay much fresher for a much longer time, so we can have the coffee for up to a year and it will still taste reasonably fresh after a year. So compared to the Guardiolas, the drying machines, where the coffee is drying for about 70 hours, here they're drying for around 10 to 14 days, depending on the weather. And it's, you know, quite consistently dry climate here because it's down in Marcala, lower altitude, and the shade gives the coffee the longer drying time. And what they do during the hottest part of the day and at night time, they will actually cover the coffee with these tarps, and then to make sure the coffee dries more evenly and also doesn't overheat. This is great for quality. Dinner time at Caballero's house. Moises is grilling. What are you grilling, Moises?
Two kind of meat. We call one entraña, and another one is puyazo.
I don't know what that is, but it's delicious. That's what it is. And we're outside in the barbecue area.
It's the queen of the coffee.
Here's the queen, La Reina, the winner of Cup of Excellence. Woohoo!
Hello!
Hello! What are you doing, Moises? You're preparing for...
We are preparing the coffee for cupping today.
What are we cupping?
The different varieties we process here in the Finca Puente.
So the ones we saw in the greenhouse?
Yes.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
This is my last day at Marisabel and Moises' house. I've spent just yesterday cupping all day, and then today cupping all day as well. And we went to the farms yesterday afternoon just to see what they did on the mill and so on. But in conclusion, I would say that the coffees, especially the Catuai, is much better quality this year. Very, very sweet coffees. So I'm really looking forward to getting those back to Norway to especially roast for espresso. And then we bought some wonderful geisha that we had last year, but we bought a little bit more this year, and the java and also the borboncillo. The variety cupping was very interesting. Lots of different flavors. Nothing really spectacular, but some very promising coffees. But I think we'll have to cup them next year as well, just to see the potential. So, my next move on this trip is to go visit Hobnil at Nacimiento, and we'll make another video about that later. This is Hobnil, the proud farmer of the Nacimiento coffee, the one we used for winning the Nordic Roaster competition 2 years in a row.